Hello, everybody. If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer, and that must mean it's time for the first episode of Warhammer Weekly of 2020. That's right. We're here. It's New Year's Day. Happy New Year's, everybody. If you're in the part of the world where it's still New Year's Day,
Hmm.
which is not a whole lot of the world anymore, but that's okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
like it's really not.
it's fine. I mean, it's New Year's Day here where I am, so hence
Sure,
Eastern time
sure.
zone. Very important time zone.
It
Uh,
checks out.
sure. And for then the rest of the stuff west. But to everybody else, I hope you had a great New Year's Day. Joining me, as always, is my own Barbara Walters, and this is 2020. What's up, Tom?
Hello, friends.
You're the Barbara Walters to my Hugh Downs. That's how I'd like to think of it.
Is that how it is?
Yeah. Although Hugh Downs went to your school.
Did you really? Oh yeah, obviously
How do you
Hugh
not know
Auditorium.
that?
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't pay attention to this stuff.
That, like, I didn't go to your school, and yet I know that.
Yeah, no, it's true because it makes sense. Like Hugh's Auditorium. Yeah,
Yeah, that's why that's named that. Yeah, that's
yeah.
right.
Weird.
Because
Yeah.
he's like the most successful thing that ever came out of your school. Anyway,
I mean, it's true.
right.
It's true.
That's not what
I,
we're here
I'm
to talk about.
I'm working on changing that.
Sure. Yeah, I can see it, Tom. I can't wait. I can't wait. We're going to make some wild, swinging predictions about 2020
What
tonight.
we do best.
Yes, as in the grand tradition of our New Year's show, or our show as
Didn't we
close to New
just do
Year's.
this?
No, we did a couple different things, but we did not actually do a whole 2020 prediction. We saved those things for this. We talked about
Mm,
the upcoming armies like Tzeentch and KO and Seraphin,
mm,
stuff like that.
mm. No, that's fair. That's fair.
Yep. So this is time. This is now the show we've been saving to strap on the tinfoil hats and get nuts. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. That's what we're going to do tonight, okay?
Apparently.
So, but of course, first, the standard stuff. We've got the news.
Um, the news.
That is the
We
part of
have
the
a
show you do, Tom.
indeed. We have a rumor engine. Let's start there.
We do. It's up on the screen right now. So it's clearly a sword sheath. I don't think we're
Yep.
giving anything away
Yep.
there.
Nope.
And this is a classic example of them just like straight up screwing with people, right? I mean, that's what
Yeah,
this is.
totally. Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
Tom, what is the defining feature of this rumor engine that they shared? What's the defining of the singular element? If your eye were to key in on one thing that we're going to make you take a wild swing at what this is, what would drive the internet, crazy, agog? What would it be?
The the Bretonian chalice.
It would be that chalice, Tom. That's what it would be. And of course, then everybody being so excited for the return of a long dead and buried empire. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, you know what it is, right? It's no, we've already had that. Shoot.
What do
I was
you
gonna say it's the Beast Grave, Flesh Eater Court Battalion or
Oh,
Flesh
sure.
Eater
Yeah,
Court
we already had that,
War
yes.
Band, but we already have that. Shoot. Um, I don't know.
A 40K Blood Angels thing. They use the cup as well.
Oh, do they? Well,
Yeah.
there you go.
I
I
mean,
mean,
like
that is
that.
a gemstone. Like, and they don't normally do a lot of gemstones like that in 40k, do they?
I mean, Eldar do, but no, it is unusual for it's that not that's not totally true. Like the drop of blood is also a pretty common signifier for them. But I mean, look, is it Bretonians? I would highly doubt it. But look, hey, I've been surprised before, so maybe we'll have to talk about this in our predict a thing swing. Maybe we'll have to ring a ding ding and predict a thing that that
Sure.
that a reimagined knightly order has sprung up out of nowhere and is sallying forth into the mortal realms. But I would say it's probably Blood Angels.
I don't know. Like the lines on the sheath, like on the hilt, like not on the hilt, but on
Uh huh.
the tip guard.
Yep.
Um, that I mean, that's very elven esque. Like
Sure.
I've
It
painted a
is.
lot of high elven
It is.
like scabbards,
Uh huh.
and they do a lot of that. So I mean, I don't know that that means anything.
All
Um,
right. Well, I'm gonna take this in. I'm going to take this in because I agree with you. The gem and the tip of the sword are very elvish, right?
Yep.
So what do we do there? How do we, the other, somebody said in the comments, Blood Knights, which is also could be an interesting one, right?
It's
Like
true. It's true.
the Blood Knights could also make sense. Like they could be, long has death wanted, many
Yep.
death players have wanted the Soul
Yep.
Blight like expansion, right?
Yep. Yep.
But in you know, in the words of Hela, like Bretonia is dead, you know, bury it. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yep.
like let it be. Let it go,
Yep.
people. Let it go. It's not coming back. Okay.
Uh, so I'm gonna go out on a limb. I think I know what it is.
All right. What do you think it is? I'm ready. I'm ready. Blow me away, Tom. Shock me.
I think it is the new uh a glimpse of the new Sylvan. I'm gonna say Sylvaneth, but the new like where the wild things are army from Beastgrave.
Okay.
You know, like the fawn people and all that.
Yeah. The Kurnothi. Yes.
Yeah, the Kronthi. And I think that what we're getting is an echo of the
Who are all very wild and punk rock. Like,
they are
where are
punk
they
rock.
getting this like super, you know, elvish looking sword? What's up with that?
Because of because in the lore, deep, like this is a deep cut, but the Lady of the Lake and all that, like the association between that and as being the elven deity. Like, do you remember that whole like Eroloth, you know, people that were lost into the Fae, like the new realm thing?
Okay. Sure.
I'm gonna call it that there's gonna be a tie between the Kurnothi and these once lost wanderer people.
Okay. All right. And by the way, I know Blood Angels just got like their book and their stuff. That doesn't mean that this isn't like a character Blood Angel or something like that.
Yep.
You know, fine. But like they have proven frequently that they'll sometimes just release character models for various reasons, like
Yep.
special
Yep.
releases and stuff like that. There's no reason they couldn't just randomly do a special character, but who knows? At any rate, I'm going to
Hold on.
integrate it into my
Hold on.
predictions. All right, I'm ready.
Hold on.
Yes, Eroloth and Lilia's children. That's what Cinderfall said. Correct.
Yes.
That's what you're referencing.
I am, and I'm just going to point very quickly
I'm ready.
because obviously this came to me on the fly. So I thought, hey, let's test my theory. Right?
Okay. So this is the Kurnothi. Yes.
Oh shoot. Rotate just a little bit. Can you see his back? The scabbard?
No.
The scabbard right here?
Yeah. Okay. I see how it has the little metal thing with the gem on the bottom you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah.
But the wrap looks
Yeah.
a heck of a lot different. But all right.
It does. It does. But just saying, like aesthetically, like there are definitely some shared elements there.
Sure. So maybe this was like the test run.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Maybe.
All right.
That's my call.
All right. Strong enough. I mean, the Kurnothi seem ripe for a whole faction, right?
Yep.
We've talked about that before. That actually
Yep.
was showing up in my predictions. So there you go. Could be. Good call. All right. I don't know what the heck. Maybe the cup is there because yes, they have that kind of that sort of thing.
And it'll just be some very minor imagery. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe not.
Right on. What else we got in news?
So let's talk about the Aether War.
Aether War. Yeah, well, we learned last week it's happening, and now it's pre-releasing this week, and it's coming out on the 11th. That is hot drops. We're getting that fast.
Can I call the fact that not on Christmas Day, but on the week before Christmas, I called that we could be getting it as soon as January 11th, and that's the exact day that it's dropping on.
Well, there you go. How nice.
But yeah, I'm excited. I have a couple boxes coming.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie.
Sure.
We have, yeah. I'm just like I said last week. I'm really excited about everything in this box.
Sure.
Like, it's like I wanted to start a Tzeentch, like Zangor army, and now between this and what I had already had of Tzeentch stuff, like I actually have like a fairly strong Zangor army.
Sure. Yeah.
And
well, I mean, we got the faction focus for
Yep.
KO on Monday,
Yep.
as well as a
We
couple
did.
other little minor, releases and such
Hmm.
of news. And I mean, I will say, looking pretty good so far. I like everything I'm seeing.
Yeah, I mean, we've had some rumors that dropped of the changes, like, and a lot of them are not surprising,
Sure.
right? Because like we knew that they were going to limit like weapon profiles on Arcanaut to one
Of
per.
course, that's been forever. If that
Yeah.
surprises you, you literally haven't been paying attention
Yes. Yeah.
for
Like
a
that.
year and a half.
A year and a half. Like that writing was on the wall. The fact that they're doing it with the chemist buff, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Right, because it was
For
always just spammy crap. Yep.
it was all spammy stuff. And it caused the pricing of all units to be like exorbitant because it
Right.
always had to take into account like what they do when you double their attacks.
Right.
On like Ender Niggers. Um
But yeah, we got some garrisoning and ships.
yeah.
Garrisoning. We
Yep.
got the ships can fly high, so they can just pull themselves out of combat and then redeploy. Basically, the ships can teleport themselves automatically every turn. As long as
Every
they've,
turn
I should say, as long as they're at 7 wounds or less taken.
in the movement phase.
Yes. Yes, their fly high ability relies on them having 7 wounds or less taken in the movement phase. Yes.
Yes.
So you can repair them first and then scoot them out of there. Absolutely.
Yeah, like if you had a bunch of Ender Nigger MSU inside a ship.
Sure. 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 And I am super excited. You know my plans. I want the ironclads to just be amazing. I want to buy two
Yep.
ironclads. I don't care if they're I don't care if they're 500, 550 points. Good, as long as they pack the guns for that. Then like
Yeah.
my Whirlwind's Edge Tempest Eye army is just gonna be like popping. I'm ready to go. I'm 8 figs and I 10, 12 figs. I got this whole army on lock. That's the kind of army I like.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because like the fly high rule in the preview article says that all the vessels have this rule like added to their war scrolls.
And
Like
your
it's under the
question
war
is
scroll
it
set.
on the war scroll or is it in the
Right.
inventions? Yeah.
Right. Like do I get to fly high in
Tempest Eye.
Tempest Eye? Right. Right.
Well, I can go twice as high. Take a look. It's in a book. It's called Caradron Overlords.
Indeed. Reading Rainbow. I don't know. Like I guess that we heard some nerfs about we heard other nerfs about the Arcanaut company. That was really interesting that dropped this week. About yes, not only are they limiting to one weapon, but also potentially the rend is going down, the range is going down on them. But their cost may be going down and their save may be getting better.
Mm-hmm.
And if that were to happen, suddenly you have a unit that I'm very interested in.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
If they're on a 4-up save,
but they're actually
even
cheap.
with if they're cheap, have short range shooting, imagine 20 of those in a for 200 and 220 points.
Sure.
Add that to an ironclad, which by the way would count as battle line, assuming their basic battle line doesn't change. Even in Tempest Eye.
Sure.
They could teleport around and if you did no special weapons, you're going to have 43 pistol shots.
Sure.
At 12 inches.
Coming out of that thing, yeah.
Yeah. That's not the ship. That's
the dude's on board.
The dude's on board.
Which we might see a rewrite of the garrisoning rules itself for this. We don't know. They could update those at the same time.
Absolutely. Yeah, so there's just a lot of questions. As Vince, as you excitedly pointed out when the article dropped, you sent me a message and you're like, your army's official.
Yeah, dude. Your army is officially a thing. You spent the past 2.5 years-ish, something like that, however long it's been.
Pretending to play a faction that is now a thing.
Yeah, where it was all Fire Slayers and regular dwarves integrated with KO. You bought all these kits. You've been doing all this kit bashing. You played effectively some version of this last year at Acon. It was slightly off in ratio,
in the last
probably.
2 years.
Yeah,
the last 2 years
because you had your KO and your Fire Slayers and your regular Duarden all together in what is now Barrack Thrang or whatever it's called.
Right.
Probably there'll be some kind of ratio restriction, but still.
I'm sure. There'll be a 4-to-1 ratio restriction. And that's not a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super stoked. I couldn't be happier, right?
Yeah. Your weird kit bashed fever dream became official rules. Yeah, that's a pretty good score.
Like, yeah, and it's interesting because like when I originally did this as like my pirate army, as like a callback to Long Drawn Slayers, it was actually the Barak Thringi like symbol. If you guys are familiar with it, I'm
Yes.
gonna pull it up because it's super awesome. It's what kind of inspired me to do my project,
Yeah, it's the
or at
dwarf
least
on one
one of.
side and the fire slayer on the other. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Like, so it's like it was like a big piece of why I was doing what I was doing. And it's just it like I just did it as my thing, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and I did. And then now like they were actually like, no, you can do that now,
Yeah.
and that's really exciting to me. Although I will say this presents a really interesting situation. See the Skyfarers there?
Mm-hmm.
Because with this one rule that they've released, like this was on their Facebook page, they raise a super interesting question.
I'm ready.
So
Are the
we know
fire
that
slayers going to become skyfarers when they're in this
right,
army? Yeah.
right. Like Fire Slayers are in Dispossessed and all that. Do they gain the Skyfarers keyword? I expected they would get like the KO keyword, and I expected that they would get the like the Barak Thringi keyword. I did
Right.
not expect they would get the Skyfarers, because if they get the Skyfarers, they can go in boats.
Yeah, sure. They could climb into
And,
boats. Yeah. Well, and
and suddenly,
not only that,
like,
but they will also do this pile in before they die thing that's on the screen right here.
right,
Yes.
yeah, and they would pile in. So, like, man, that's super interesting with like Hearthguard Berserkers, or like putting 20 Volkites in a ship
Sure.
that
Yeah.
are now with cover on like a 2-up save unbuffed and neg 1 to hit.
When do the Iron Jaws get in your boats? Can we get the Skyfarers keyword?
I that's a great question. I mean, because like it's in our lore, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing. But no, it's like I am super stoked by this book. I think that like it's just an amazing, like, to me, like it's just an amazing gift of so far of what I've seen of like what these things should have been from the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. The I think it's going to be really interesting. The only reason we're not talking about Tzeentch, by the way, is because they haven't done any Tzeentch focuses yet. So like we don't know anything about if they're doing anything with Tzeentch. So hence all the KO discussion. Plus, I think Tom and I are both more interested at this moment in KO than in Tzeentch. Like Tzeentch is fine. It'll be super magic. We'll talk about it because again, it factors into my 2020 predictions.
Right. Like Tzeentch is playable now, right?
Sure.
Like it's not perfect. It needs updated rules, but it's playable.
It's playable.
Like KO is really in a tough spot right now, and so this is I would argue this is really bringing them back in a strong way, in a way that they haven't been available.
It's also the refresh of like one of the most unique armies of Age of Sigmar, right?
Yeah,
Like this is truly a defining army of AOS. It's
right, and if you can throw Fire Slayers in there, which is another very AOS-y army, it's just super fascinating. And by the way, let me just say, the other big question I have is who their allies are. Like, and do they have cities of Sigmar as their allies?
Sure. One has to imagine, probably.
Because if they do, there's a very real world where where I have like Fire Slayers as my 1 and 4, and then as allies 1 and 4, I also have Dispossessed.
Yeah, sure.
Like, very real possibility for me. So
it's going to be exciting. I mean, man will read book this weekend, assumingly.
I know.
Which actually leads to our next piece of news, because man who reads book will probably not be the biggest story of Saturday, or whenever the normal NDA lifts. I think it's on Saturday, basically, when they're allowed to publish.
True. It's true, because it's the 2020 reveals.
That's right.
At the event, right?
Yep, they're doing the New Year Open Day.
Yep.
At Warhammer World, and there will be a reveal show. Who knows how much AOS we're going to get, because it's not AOS focused, right? It's everything.
And traditionally, it's not been almost any AOS.
Yeah, so we'll see. But like, I have to wonder if either A, we get our Seraphin spoiler, right? Because that's the other thing we know is coming. Or B, if we get the payoff.
We suspect. A lot of stuff has been discontinued for Seraphin, by the way, for those that did not know.
I know, which is going to feed into we'll get there. It's all part of the predictions, or whether they
Yeah,
feed into the heish something giant, right?
sure, sure.
Um, like in other words, are they going to give us a future thing, or are they going to give us just this thing we kind of already knew?
Well, we have to wait till LVO because
Sure,
that's a very real possibility too.
sure. Yep. All right. Yes, Dave, we did discuss the rumor engine, and I have some more thoughts about it. Tom's bet is it's part of the Kurnothi expansion, which isn't crazy. Uh, Not at all. Your dog likes his squeaky toy, doesn't he?
I know
Mm-hmm.
she is super excited about that Christmas gift,
I'm
but
sure.
I am not.
I understand.
Bella, she's wagging her tail at me.
Of course. Yes. All right. So, Tom, one more quick news item I want to touch on. I
Yep.
mentioned last week during our Christmas show, Save RC, member of our community, Red Wizard, he had his first child on Christmas Day. He
Yep.
did jump into the chat and say that, and I've talked to him since, baby is healthy, mom's doing okay, so they're back at home now. But their dog needs some significant medical attention, and he's selling his. He's not asking for just random donations. He is selling off stuff for like a lot of new in box great kits. He's pushing them out at a decent price. It's certainly a good deal. Like you can get plenty of kits. He's selling them at a really nice price. If you're looking for city stuff, speaking of dwarves, he's got a bunch of dwarf stuff, by the way.
Mm.
Like especially dispossessed stuff. Oh, this is a bunch of it's
That's
like new in box stuff.
that is a way to invest in the future, my friends.
That's right. So look, if you're looking, if you've got some hot Christmas money, you want to you didn't get the models you wanted for Christmas, you want to buy some models at a cheap price that are new in box and contribute to a good cause. Come on now, come on now.
Get any better than that?
Absolutely. The link will be in the description down below. And
Mm.
so click on that, go check it out, see if there's anything you want. He also has a bunch of Slanesh stuff. I was thinking about it, but like I've got to stop myself at some point. I understand. I know excess. But like realistically, I'm good. I still have to get through all this slave stuff. We'll talk about that in a moment. Um, but yeah, like that's it's always it is funny that the kid's born on Christmas Day. That's always rough. Then you get but I mean, all your birthday presents, your Christmas presents, same day. That's oof, rough one. Okay.
I feel bad for the other kids in the family because
There's only
it's.
one right now. This is their first child.
I understand that, but I'm just saying in general when that happens because then like forever that kid gets more on Christmas than everyone else.
Sure, sure. I mean, as would be expected, yes, as they should.
Sure.
At any rate, so like I said, link will be in the description. Help the Red Wizard out. Get yourself some awesome stuff. Let's we are a strong community. Buy yourself some nice stuff and help somebody out all at the same time. And Rez, I'm buckling on. He does have a couple Gorgons, and I'll tell you right now, I'm buckling. I've been looking at it. Like if he still has it, it's gonna get to me eventually. You know I can't help myself with that Gorgon model, Tom. I can't
You
do it.
can't.
I
You
can't do it. I got too
It's
many
like
of them.
it's like the kitty cats.
It's catnip to me, my friend. I love that Gorgon
Yeah.
model.
Yeah, it's literally like your war sphinxes.
It is. It's a big, awesome model with like lots of muscly stuff going on.
Textures
Yeah,
and
it's good.
flesh and yeah.
Yep, it's good. All right. So, any other news? I think that's all the news. Obviously, it's a slow week because this is the week in between Christmas and New Year's, which none of them were in the office. So,
Yeah, no, I think that's it. I think that's um yeah.
all right, cool. Let's talk about pick of the week, man. What do you got?
I'm actually gonna spruik some of you know him. He is all over Twitter, Anthony Polcastro. Anthony is doing a GoFundMe right now.
Oh, hold on, pause. Yes, thank you, Dan. That is that Dan in the comments mentioned a news piece.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That
yeah,
I
yeah.
can't believe I forgot about. The Nova Open Hotel is live, so if you're going to Nova, you need to go book your hotel like now.
Right.
So go do
Right.
that. The events and all of that isn't live, or I shouldn't say even the events, like the tickets and all that stuff for the event. That's
Right.
what I'm trying to say. Is in March 1st, I believe, is the date all that goes live. But the hotel is live as of today. So you should go and do that so you can get the lower rate at either that hotel or the two that are literally right next door that you can walk to. So there you go. So thank you very much, Dan. I appreciate that. I was remiss on my event information. And yes, I will be back at Nova, and I was just confirming all of my classes that I'm teaching with them. I've got a big schedule this year. So if you want to come to a class, we're going to do a lot of fun stuff this year at Nova. So it's going to be great. All right, now, Tom, back to your thing you were spruiking. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So Anthony Bocastro is running a GoFundMe right now. Anthony is the one that got me into 3D printing. Anthony is a wonderful, wonderful man. He has 3 printers, and he is losing lots of money right now, because the way he chooses to use those printers is basically he prints things for free for events, to help fill tables. And right now he is going to be he is helping both Nova and NashCon expand their like event table like terrain ratio stuff. And like he's done the math, and his 3 printers cannot physically print enough terrain for what is needed for those 2 events. And so he is raising money for a 4th printer. And if you know anything about Anthony, like he's amazing.
Yep.
He has single-handedly grew like the terrain at NashCon to like 60 tables of beautifully painted terrain, because David does all the painting for him, or a lot of it at least. And so just I would encourage you all to, if you have a couple extra bucks to throw at it. Obviously, RC needs care, and I want to encourage you guys to do that. And if you have a couple more bucks, throw it at the printer for Anthony, because Anthony's goal is not only expand for these 2 events, but also to provide basically a service for events to help them fill out their tables.
Yep. I like it. I like it. Nice. Yeah. Nice. Okay, cool. So I want to shout out our good friend, Paul at Radio Free Hammer Hall. Mm-hmm. And Paul did a nice video on retreating today. That I think is, first of all, very useful. So that's the video I'm going to shout out specifically. But what I really want to say about Paul is I believe Paul right now is like 5 or 6 subs from 1,000, and YouTube really cares about exact numbers. Like if you hit this exact number, then things open up on your channel. And so like there's got to be 6 people who are interested in what Paul is doing in the chat right now, or who are watching this in the future, who haven't subbed to Paul. So I will link to the retreat video. If you like what he's doing there, give the man a sub. Let's get him over that 1,000 mark, and encourage him to keep making videos, because I always like it when he makes videos, and it's nice. And I like all our content creators to keep making videos, because darn it, folks, I got to have something on while I paint. So start making stuff. So there you go. I'll link to the retreating video. It's a really good point. He goes through like the different benefits, pitfalls, how to sort of slingshot around with retreats, how you think about flying, how you know, all sorts of good stuff. So nice little 15-minute video on retreating, which I do agree is like probably the most important single tactic that not enough people use often enough.
Right.
Right.
Like oftentimes when you get in bad, like in a lot of situations, the right answer is actually retreating.
Right. Yep.
And most people like want to grind out fights. And most of the time, that's actually not the best answer.
Yeah. My first question I ask myself at the start of every turn is, is which of these units need to retreat? Right? That's like my start of hero phase thing I'm thinking about is what should I retreat? What combat should I retreat out of? The answer might be 0, but the answer is often more. Right? Yeah. So right. Agreed. It's a good video that talks about it. So there you go. And I see a couple people already subbed in the comments. You're all my heroes. You all rule. Okay. It's such a fantastic community. You guys are great. So, those are the picks. They'll be linked down below. It is Radio Free Hammer Hall, Davis. That's who I was talking about. And I'll link his video in the description that I was talking about specifically, namely a good video on retreating. It's a guy, Paul, who's a good guy in the community. All right, so Tom, what's on your hobby table, buddy? Let's do some hobby time, man. What are you working on? What you working on, buddy? You're painting something. You seemed very
Hearthguard,
focused.
Hearthguard Berserkers.
Look at all that. Oh my God, do you have like different color Mohawks? Like, did you alternate their Mohawks?
I did. Like I did.
I
Yeah,
love that.
I went with the striped mohawk for my Hearthguard, so that like visually on the table you
You
can
can
tell
tell
what's a
them apart.
Hearthguard. Yeah, what's a Hearthguard and what's a Volkite. Yep.
That's so nice.
And
I
then
love it.
for my other ones, I'm gonna like for my Oryx, I'll have different like yeah, like so visually like there will be distinctives between my different units.
The only thing of a Fire Slayer you can see realistically when you're looking at it on the table from above, especially when they're in units, is the Mohawk.
Yep,
Right?
it's true.
It's such a dominating feature of that model.
Yep,
So the fact that you did the stripies on that particular unit, I love it.
yep.
That's great, man. Good thinking. Because every time I fought Fire Slayers, I'm like, okay, which ones are these? Which ones are these over here? Because because it's like impossible to tell. So, all right,
Right.
cool.
I heard your complaints, Vince, and I'm working in my own scheme to resolve those.
Well, I appreciate it, my friend. For myself, I finished up that Chaos Lord. I finally found
Yep.
my sample scheme that I liked. It's in this
Yep.
like crimson plate color.
I
That's
know.
sort
I
of
loved it. It looks like wine.
yeah. Well, that was the goal. I wanted it to be sort of a red wine color that
Yep.
had a little bit of purple, little it was like crimsonish, right? So I could
Yep.
run it as Slanesh sometimes. So I could run it as Corn sometimes, and I could run it as Undivided sometimes, right? Because it wasn't any of those specifically. And I thought
Yeah,
those would be
like
a fun way to. So I wanted something that's neutral-ish.
I love that. Like corn is one of those armies where like I'd love to have a corn army, but I don't really want just a corn army.
Right.
And so like hearing the way you did that, I'm just like I could do something like that.
Yeah, it's
Like
the
I thought
advantage
about
of chaos, right? The fact that when you buy Slaves to Darkness, you're getting 5 armies theoretically.
right, right.
Yeah.
Like I thought about doing like the Skull Reavers scheme, which is like the black armor with like the goldy brass trim. Like that's a legitimate corn scheme. And like it's neutral enough maybe that it would go with a lot of other chaos armies. I don't know. I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, sure.
It's not terrible.
Ramergeddon, you had said I did advertise it, and I know that Travis did, who helped me put it together. But it's my first year there, so my guess is we probably could have worked some different things out as far as advertising goes. But I'm not sure. We tried to get the word out. I think we scheduled it a bit, like late. So I am sorry if you missed it. But it should be. I'm super excited in like basically 3 weeks to be coming down to Australia. It's crazy to say that, but on the longest flight that the airline I fly on offers, it is literally their longest flight in the world I'm taking to get to Australia. So it's like a 17.5 hour flight. It should be fun. I look forward to going insane. So the so yeah, so here's one of my Chaos Warriors. I finished up the Lord. He's very dark right now. You're not gonna be able to see him because he looks all crazy dark, but there's more color there. He's in the red has all these deep colors before I then go back and brighten it up. And I got out 2 start collecting boxes worth of Chaos Warriors. So 20 Chaos Warriors. Got them all together. And I love these guys. Oh my God, Tom. These new Chaos Warriors are so amazing.
Are they nice? Like
they're
I haven't
so
seen them
nice,
yet.
dude.
So yeah.
The guys who are doing like the forward push with like their shields forward,
Yeah.
where they're like ramming in or like their shield way out. The dudes with the shields on their back, like slung over their back. It's so wonderful. Like I am beyond excited.
They don't come with any standard bearers or musicians, do they?
They don't, but I just converted the standard bearers and like musicians. I'll just hang something off their belt or mark them and say that they're callers.
Sure.
It's a musician. Sure. If the ogres can have a musician that's just literally some guy yelling, whatever, it's fine.
I mean, it's legitimate.
Sure. So that's gonna be. So I'm just working my way through these guys. I should have them done by the weekend. So then I'll have the 20 of them done. You know what I do love about the high points cost of Slaves to Darkness? Man, does it feel like you're getting stuff done. I was like, 20 of these dudes? That's 400 points in the, just bam, in the bag. Look at that. Just knocking out points.
Outlandish.
Yeah, feels good.
Outlandish.
Feels good. I don't know what I'm gonna do next. I got a bunch of stuff lined up, so I've got way too many projects, so it's just gonna be going back and forth between Golden Demon stuff and the slaves and Whirlwind's Edge. So it's gonna be all over the map the next until I go to Australia, and then I won't be able to hobby for like a week.
I'm in such a tight spot because like I'm doing my like I've literally jumped armies like 4 times in the last 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like I'm hitting the like nothing's done fatigue. Because I did my Fire Slayers for a while until I realized I wasn't going to be able to make hit Nashcon, and so I dropped that for my Night Haunt, and then ground out like half my Night Haunt army for Havoc, and then I was like, okay, you know, like I set my sights on Akon, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do more Night Haunt. So I did some Night Haunt, and I'm like, nope, I'm going to do cities, and so then I like crafted all the rest of my cities army, my Dwarf cities army, and got about like halfway through and then realized like I'm not taking that. Like realized that about a month ago. And so now I'm back to Fire Slayers.
Nice.
So I have like a bunch of like half finished projects of like blocks of 40 troops.
Mm-hmm.
And like I really need to get that stuff done. And then like on top of that, the reality is that KO is dropping in 2 weeks. And I may have to paint another 30 Thunderers.
Well, do you know what's so wonderful about this, Tom? This is the perfect segue. Segue into our main topic, our 2020 prediction spectacular. So, Tom, I went back and listened to our 2019 prediction spectacular.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. And like I said, not enough people had new content. Everybody, because it's New Year's Day. So I had some time on my hands. And
Sure.
so I was listening to it. And first of all, we had a lot of stuff wrong. Your Samoa ogres. That didn't happen, obviously. But we did have some stuff right. One of the things I said was I don't think cities would get a book, but I thought KO would get their refresh. Slightly reversed there.
That didn't age, but go on.
Didn't age well. But here's the funny thing. One of the closing points I made, okay, was, Tom, if Fire Slayers get a new book, because we both said that Fire Slayers are going to get a new book back in December of last year, of 2018. Which we were correct, right? We said if Fire Slayers get a new book and this happens, Tom, you'll have like too many armies to choose from and you'll have decision paralysis. And you were like, I know, I don't know what I'd do with myself. And that was a very true prediction. Nailed it on that one. Because now you find yourself locked in this hobby paralysis. You're embarrassment of riches.
It is. Because the reality is this, like, I'm trying to think about Akon, right? And like other events and stuff like that, like I'm thinking about them, but like Akon is the one where I'm kind of like locked in on because it's the big, you know, like the biggest event in the US for the championship GT stuff. And I have like a full Fire Slayer army, and I have a full Cities army, and I have a full Night Haunt army, and I have a full Slaves to Darkness army.
Sure.
And like I have competitive lists of all of those things that I could very happily run with any one of them.
Yep.
And it's really frustrating. Really frustrating.
It's this is 2019. Like obviously this isn't the 2019 look back show, but this has been an amazing year. It re-releases and armies we all have to run. Like it does feel like an embarrassment of riches now. So, all right, let's get into it, man. Ring a ding ding. Let's predict a thing. Here we go. Okay. So, 2020 predictions. Let's start at the beginning. Tzeentch and KO box coming at the end of this weekend. Okay? We're not gonna predict rules and crap like that. Here's what I want you to predict, Tom.
Yep.
You ready?
Yep.
Here's why we want to start here. 1. Are these 2 books competitively good? Okay?
Yes.
2, do they have a small 1 through 5, 1 being none, 5 being major impact on the meta? That's the question. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. You can't think this long time. This is dead air. People like talking.
Yes. They will both be competitive.
Okay.
And they will have a major impact on the meta. Both of them will.
4 or 5, what are you rating it on a 1 through 5 scale?
I think that 4 for Tzeentch, and I think 5 for KO. And not only because KO is KO, I think it's 5 because then it will also impact Tempest Eyeless.
Okay.
And I think in a pretty dramatic way, in fact.
Also, we just want to shout out Tabletop Minions, who's predicting Fishman in 2020. I agree. It's about time. The Idneth weren't Fishmen enough. We didn't want wet elves. We wanted Fishmen. Let's bring in the octopus people. Bring in the crab people. Bring in Tom's son. You know, all that sort of stuff. Like, all those armies can come in. Okay. So while Tom is dealing with his adorable son, who looks like a mini version of him with the glasses on. That's really funny. Yeah, she got away. Hello, he can't see me. I don't know who I'm waving at. He'll see me in a second when he's watching it on the screen. So here's my prediction. Okay, here's how I'm going to rate this. KO will not be perceived as good as Tzeentch. The initial prediction, like sometimes we get these 2-book releases, one is better than the other. Okay.
Sure.
So I think Tzeentch will come out the stronger one.
You think so?
I do.
Huh. Interesting. Okay.
In the short term, that will be that'll be the look at it. I think in the long term, the KO book will actually be better. Okay.
I think it's probably true. Like, because I think the KO is just so impactful. Like,
Correct.
and I don't think that people understand how it's going to be impactful until Gary Percival starts taking events with it.
Sure. Here's my I agree. Here's my let's start with this. I think what's interesting about KO, and by the way, I think they're both going to be like 4 to 5s on meta impact, and here's why.
I agree.
Okay.
Yep.
I think, let's say we get a Seraphin release as well, not too long in the future.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Which is the next easy prediction. Yes, we will have Seraphin. And also, I'm going to step up here. Seraphin are getting new models. They're going to be a Gloomspite Gets style release. That is my prediction.
Yeah.
They discontinued a bunch of stuff. Now, they don't always make new models and they discontinue. Cities is a reason for that, and I'll talk about that in a little while.
Yep.
Okay. But I think that's why it's saved till last. I agree with your previous reasoning. You were one to bring that up. Okay.
Yep. Like that, it's going to involve new models. Yeah.
But let's take a look at what's been introduced into the meta here recently. Okay.
Yep.
OBR, ultra high defense, right?
Yep. And magic reliant. Like a lot of what they're doing is like they have a lot of wizards that they really like and really want to have on the table.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, like, yeah, sure. I don't know. Like, I think that they're like, I looked at Brendan's list and he's not really too heavy on magic. It's all you know, their RDP farm or whatever.
Sure.
At any rate, heavy armor, Slaves to Darkness, heavy armor. Seraphin will be shooting and heavy armor.
Right.
KO, shooting. Okay. Tzeentch, basically magic shooting. Right?
Right.
Like that's what Tzeentch will bring to the table. So all of a sudden we're going to get this influx into the meta that's really going to test it. The story the past year and a half of Age of Sigmar has been ultra ramped up high offense, tendingly low defense armies running into each other and just blowing each other up, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people running around with like 4+.
Yep.
The reason Daughters have continued to be a force for 2 solid years is only because they're the high offense with the cheater defense and Hagnar.
Right.
Right.
And no one to pick off their heroes.
And no one to pick off their heroes. That's right. Because the meta has remained in this like relatively low-ish defense, right? One of the things about beasts is one of their strengths is that they actually have a lot of ways to rend. Right? They have a lot of like armor killing in their book, and it's just worthless. Because there aren't that many like elite forces who are relying on ultra high armor and a few models where beasts would overperform, right?
Yep.
So, but now that's what you're seeing this influx of, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to push the meta in these big ways by introducing 3 new things we don't have in large ways. We already saw, and like it'll be interesting to see whether like Hollow Heart alone was enough to do it, and also they fixed it. Does Tzeentch magic shooting and the shooting of KO and the potential shooting of whatever, because you know Lizardmen, Slans
with Bridge, because Bridge wasn't changed,
right? Yep.
So like if suddenly Tzeentch can do that as well with Bridge,
sure. So my prediction is you are going to see some big Craterus meta impacts right off of these releases early in the year because it
Yeah.
is going to be pushing the meta into armies that it has not traditionally had to deal with. Every army that's been good, okay, over the
Yep.
past year and a half, all your dominators were ultra high O armies that relied on simple defense tricks to win,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
FEC just slamming you into the ground before you can fight back.
Yep.
Slanesh just slamming you into the ground before you can fight back, right?
Yep. Yep.
Like these were the big bad voodoo daddies of the last year, and they were all O and one defense trick,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And when you look at stuff like what did Khorne add? Well, a bunch of offense, right? What
Yep.
did what did Fire Slayers add? A bunch of melee foot slogging offense, right?
Yep.
Ogres, melee foot slogging offense. Iron Jaws, melee foot slogging offense. And none of these people are like defensive titans,
Right.
right? There's plenty
Right.
of 4-ups running around, sure,
Sure.
right?
Yeah. Yep.
But like suddenly the meta changes when there are 4 competitive forces, let's say, that can put out a high armor, relatively elite, tough force, right?
Yep. Yep.
Especially if they can go ultra high, like ultra defensive. I don't just mean people who can kind of have a 3-up. I mean people like OBR and slaves,
Like 2-up reroll ones.
where you can have
Like
like 2-up, 3-ups, complete re-rolling with an extra after save,
yep.
just like all that, like the ultra defense.
Yep.
And when you,
Yep.
especially when a lot of that stuff's tilted towards combat, and then you introduce KO who don't care, right? They were always strikes first before it was cool. It's called the shooting phase, right?
Indeed. Indeed.
So I think that's going to be a major, major impact. And yes, that leads me
Yeah,
to my
I
Seraphin
mean,
prediction.
but
New
here's my
models,
hold
new dinos.
on. Hold on. I don't think that KO is going to have the Ren that it did on shooting.
I don't know. Even if they were just largely neg 1 with some splash neg 2, it would do a
Well,
ton of work.
the rumors right now suggest that it's going to be mostly neg 1. Like even the traditional skyhooks that were neg 2 are going to be down to neg 1,
Mm-hmm.
which like I don't know that it'll do the work against a 2-up reroll ones. Like they're not going to shoot things off. And they'll have to grind it out. And so I think KO actually may, like, if their shooting ends up being weaker like that, I don't know that in the long term, like, I would flip your predictions if that ends up being the case. And I think that Tzeentch ends up having a much more, like, long-term impact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it depends on firepower.
Yeah, it depends on firepower. Because I think the move for KO is to dial back damage and increase, like, survivability. And like increasing survivability to 4-ups is fine, but the problem is that doesn't actually resolve against that doesn't do it against a lot of those armies.
Sure.
So we'll see.
And yet against some, it very much does. Like,
It
look,
does.
you're right that even but you take neg 1 rend, and you compare the difference on rerollable saves or something like that between shooting an OBR Mortek guard unit and shooting a big Chaos Warrior block, where the Chaos Warrior block is on 3-up rerolling everything all the time.
All the time. Yeah.
And the
And
OBR block is on 3-up stop in the shooting phase, right?
Right.
Like, it's a big difference in impact.
It is. It is. Especially being able to remove some of those strategic pieces out there. Like it'll be a big deal. It will.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So it will also be interesting to see if like the way out their call would be in response to that. Do people actually start messing around with Anvil Guard just to start melting armor off of units? Because that nuclear button's out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? It's always there. It needs door to work. You got to door that spell out there, right? But it's there. So just an interesting thing. Let's talk Seraphin, man. I'm saying new models. What do you feel about that?
No, I felt that way. Like since I made the call regarding like the delay and the new model requirement, like I think there's just so much of the line that needs to be refreshed. Yeah. Like if they keep, let me say it this way, if they keep Seraphin, which I think they will.
Yep.
I think that the way they keep Seraphin is they do new models for just a whole host of the line. I think that and I think that actually like Haish, like the Realm of Light, seems like it could be very tropical. Like lots of sun.
You are always trying to get to the tropics, my friend. You're
I
like
am.
Jamie Foxx in that movie he was in with Tom Cruise, Collateral. Is that the one? Yeah, it's the one. Do you just have like a picture of a beach above your hobby area that you always flip
Always.
down and stare
I
at?
mean, maybe it might
Yeah,
be true.
because you are trying to go tropical all the time.
Yeah.
Um,
But yes,
sure.
we need Slon. There's so much like fine cast in that line. Like everything but the big dinosaurs can almost be like renewed.
Yeah, sure.
Um and like I can only imagine what they could do with like sweet skinks and like a variety of poses, and I don't know.
I would imagine they'll keep the skink kit. That's what I'll say.
Maybe. Or maybe not.
But like the answer is you make new Saurus, they introduce a couple new dinosaurs, job's a good one, right? And they
Well, no,
introduce
but like,
an interesting skink cav. I'd be down for that, right?
but no, like, but like a dual kit between skink and skink chameleon skinks.
Sure, they could. I mean,
Uh,
that's a very different numbered unit, but that being said, it doesn't have to
it
be.
is right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly, it is right now. I agree. It just feels like it would be the perfect candidate for a Gloomspite Get style release, right?
I agree. And like they keep all their big monsters, they keep their plastic kits, their plastic heroes, and then like all the rest of the kits, maybe Temple Guard get kept, everything else gets revised.
Right. Right. Yep. Yeah, I
No,
mean,
I agree with that. I mean, I think that's a good call.
and I think that it'll be the way to that army is going to be interesting. I think to me, my personal prediction wise on that one is it'll be fascinating because I think they will still, even after the refresh, have somewhat of a hammer challenge. Okay. And I
Okay.
think that's kind of how they'll build the book. So the playstyles your general force is you've got some good shooting, you've got some good defense, and you've got good magic, right? So that's kind of the three areas they play in, and you
Yep.
choose which one of those three you want to
Hope
kind
so.
of push up and down, right? And that's how
Yep.
they balance the book. I imagine summoning will see a change to some degree.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I don't know what it'll look like, but I say teleport them space lizards. Ho! Okay. So that thus endeth the stuff we know.
Yep.
Now it's time to get spicy. Okay? All right. So Tom, let's talk spicy predictions, shall we? I have got
Okay.
a list of spicy predictions I thought about today. They range. Some of these are only a mild on the scale, right? But some of these are straight up atomic, I think. Okay?
So some of them are like Polynesian ogres.
Some, yes, they're at that level. The Scoville units are high. Okay?
Sure. Sure.
All right.
Yep.
I don't even know where to start with this, so I'm just going to start here. Okay?
Okay.
Let's talk about them and Angel Elves. Let's talk about coming out of Heish. Straight out of Heish, okay?
Okay.
A crazy elf named Teclis and his brother Tyrion. So, I don't think... Here's my prediction for these guys, what they look
Yep.
like. I don't think it's going to be a wholly angelic army, and it's not going to be giants. Like, I don't think that. That's a fun joke that we've had. But
Yeah, we've joked around about angel giants, but like that's not happening.
okay,
Like,
here's my guess.
okay.
Who ate the brunt of the decommissions in Cities of Sigmar? What force ate the actual, like, as far as like when the baloney was passed out and models were removed, who got the lion's share of that summer sausage?
Wanderers.
Well, they didn't lose that many kits. They lost some, I guess, as a percentage.
They
But
lost,
no,
like, 8
High
kits.
Elves lost a lot of stuff, right?
Yes, clearly high elves did. They also lost like 8 kits, like Wanderers did, because they lost all their heroes.
Sure.
Like they had like 6 heroes they lost.
Okay.
But anyways,
Which leads to my two predictions, but let's take one
Yep.
of those. I'll accept both answers. Okay?
Yep.
It's High Elves. Now, the reason for that is because, and I wouldn't have said this until I was putting together this Chaos Warrior. Okay? And
Okay.
that's what
Yep.
solidified this in my
And
mind.
there's high elf bits on him.
Well, there are elvish bits on the Chaos Warriors, yes.
Sure.
And on the knights and stuff. But or elvish bits at least. I don't know if they're high elves, but they look that type of elf.
Yep.
But no, not that. It's that the interesting thing about these guys, we all said they're original Chaos Warriors reimagined, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's very true. But in looking even deeper at them, they're really original Chaos Warriors reimagined. Like the armor, I've painted a lot of these regular Chaos Warriors in my time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
And like the old style ones. And
Yep.
a lot of these armor plates and aspects of them and details are exactly the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Just reconfigured into a new, more interesting total dynamic package.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
And what we saw with Slaves, this very classic army, was them reimagine it. They added the Lord on on
On.
Kakadrak. Okay.
Yep. The alligator.
The alligator, yeah. And we kind of got this feel of like original recipe slaves brought into sort of a new world, right?
Yep.
And so what occurred to me is the right way to go here would be, we know from the lore, like they make this reference to these angelic elvish beings, right? But we don't really know what that means in this context. Like, how do people of the mortal realms perceive these angelic beings? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so what they're going to do is they're going to reimagine the line, okay? The traditional high elf line. Tyrion and Teclis are nostalgic old codgers, like most elves are. They traditionally, Tom, have a problem with letting stuff go, okay?
Ew.
And
I,
so
I can relate.
So the this new line will feel like a very close homage, and it will have elements of it that are callbacks to the old kits. Okay, like the Phoenicium and the stuff that's say in the cities. Those are the classic elves that are just now part of cities and integrated into human culture. What Tyrion and Teclis made, they'll have these. They'll remake elves and they'll remake their culture
Yep.
in a version that feels more angelic. Okay, not because they have big flowery wings and stuff like that, but they're just going to try to perfect it. Their
Okay.
own personal, their own personal, what do I want to say, like arrogance is such, especially Teclis. I mean, he threw out the INF Deep kid right when he made him because he was like, nah, not good enough, and he
Like
just
no.
cast him out, right? So he's clearly aiming at perfection and accepts nothing less. And that's classically been like sort of his personality and his flaw, right?
They're junk elves. I do not are.
And so my particular feeling is you will get some, like you'll get something that's like winged. You'll get some winged type beings in this thing, right? But a lot of it's going to feel like very much like echoes of the old elves reimagined. Does that make
So
sense?
can I push one step farther?
Sure, man.
So a big part of the elven world, because it was an island, like there's so much naval, like ships were like a big thing
Mm-hmm. Sure.
in their culture. I'm gonna go one step farther and actually think that like they're gonna call our bluff on Swift Talk.
Okay. And they're going to release like that kind of thing in big in like
Yeah, they are going to be winged elves. They are going to descend from the heavens.
yeah.
And I think that I actually would bank on them being our next um
Big new army.
big sky based army.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that we are going to get airships. We are going to get more boats. We have dwarves. I think we're going to get elves and boats.
Sure, but more traditional like craft, right?
Like elven, yeah, like they're going to look like big swoopy elven things.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they have sails on them.
Sure. Yep.
Like, and I think they're going to feel like just these very like, and I wouldn't be surprised if we have like the return of hawk riders
Oh, that'd be
and
a neat
giant
callback. Sure, that kind of thing. Yeah.
like giant eagles and hawk riders and stuff like that. And like again, like I think that they're gonna double down on the Swift Talk, and I think the Swift Talk aesthetic was only like echoes of what was to come.
Sure. Sure. That's what I'm saying. Like, and it wouldn't surprise me if a major contingent of the army looked like that, because I feel like this convinced me that one of the design areas they've decided to explore is not just can we make something completely new, because they can't come out with 7 new armies this year. They want to keep up with the product releases, right? But they can't do 7 new armies. But if they have some that, because it's just too much new stuff for people to absorb, right? But if
Yeah.
they have a new army that feels like the old elves reimagined in perhaps a step farther than what the Chaos Warriors were, still close, right? You can
Yep.
look at it and go, that feels like traditional high elves, but they're
Right.
much more dynamic, more mobile. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah, like the winged imagery, the sun imagery, like all of that is staple to high elves.
right.
Yeah,
Yep.
yep,
So that one's like a minor spicy take. Okay, that's
yeah.
minor. Well, we're gonna get spicier as we go. Tom, you got a hot one for me, or do you want me to keep going?
Um, yeah, sure. Let me jump in. I think that we are going to see. I'm gonna ride this ship.
I like Brian S. By the way, his comment was really high elves.
Yes, really high elves.
Right.
I'm gonna ride this ship and say that like we'll get high elves,
Mhm.
and then on the other side of high elves, we get the Grotbag Scuttlers.
Oh God. See, here's why I don't think this happens because
No,
they
hold on.
already started the year with a flying people against flying people box set. So like, unless this is the year of the skies,
Exactly.
sure.
Yes, no. You're like, I actually think, yes, what you're seeing is the developmental testing
Mhm.
of the end of the, like, some other thing. Like, what you're getting glimpses of and all that is the product for either late this year or early next year of a standalone.
Okay.
That's what you're seeing.
Sure.
And they have one army that's full on ships, KO, right? And so I think that the two logical next steps would be to go into elves because they're already that's already established, and then I think either grot bag scuttlers or a Skyer
Like the Skaven take their ships because
Skyer
they have
escape.
killed a skyport and taken over their technology. Yes.
One of those two routes is the sequel, and I think that grot bags will come first,
Hmm.
and I think that they will just be like trash ships, and I think that I think we've seen glimpses of that already. Let me say that, and actually let me revise that. We might see goblins before we see high elves, because goblins are very natural enemies of dwarves.
Yes. Well, here's what I'll say: the Grotbag
Yeah,
Scuttlers are a potential high on the list because here's the reality: there has
yeah,
to be a new destruction army this year,
yes, yes,
right?
yep, yep,
Okay. When we look at what the quote unquote new armies were,
yep,
right?
yep,
Okay. So like, and you make your way around the horn, and you say, all right, well, Order they got KO, they got Fire Slayers, they got Idneth Deepkin. Like they've been a source of a lot of
yep,
like quote unquote new armies, right?
hmm,
Death just got OBR. They're
yep,
they're not getting another. They're not marching another force out under Nagash anytime soon, right?
right,
That doesn't
right.
mean I don't think Death gets a release this year. I'm just saying like it's not the immediate thing in their mind to go back to back on that, right?
Yep.
Chaos is in a weird spot because what else do you do in Chaos? I'll tell you what you do. I have an answer, but like doing another pure Chaos force is weird. Okay, so the
Yep.
obvious answer if you're going to introduce another new army that you want to pull onto thread from the past is
Sure.
something like your Grotbag Scuttlers, right? Because this we would need a new destruction force, right?
Yep. Yep.
So doing
No.
something like the Grotbag Scuttlers would be fun. At the same time, if they actually did do some kind of army of giants or something like that, which by the way, I don't think they'll actually do. Like I think that was too on the nose to say something, you might say giant coming soon. I would
Yeah.
love it if they did. Okay? I
Yeah.
would absolutely love it if they did.
Yep.
But it just doesn't have the same play as Imperial Knights. Like one of the reasons they can sell Knights is because it's a big, beautiful kit. It has all these options, and it can march out. Like the Knight was such a multi-purpose win for them because
Yeah.
they could sell it to like so many people,
Yeah.
right? You could buy if you played anything in the Imperium, anything in Chaos or Orcs, basically, you could go buy a Titan, right? Or you could go buy a Knight, right?
Right. Right.
And so the question is, okay, what do you do then with uh like giants just don't have that range. You know what I mean? They're not when you look at like who's going to buy them unless they completely reimagine it and make it like
Right.
this ultra mercenary force that can kind of work for everybody and blasey blasey blah. Like you'd have to go way out there.
Hmm.
So when you think about destruction, you've got stuff like, and this is what I was going to talk about. What are your destruction potentials? Giants, your flying goblins, your grot bag scuttlers, right?
Yep.
The Femir, which was mentioned in the
Yep.
comments. Yep, I
Yep.
agree. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Or you bring out a completely new race, like you
Right.
cut from whole cloth on this, right? With
Yep.
almost like
Like we've talked about the elemental, like the
yeah,
creature, the
elemental monstrous army, something like that, right? Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Like a truly beast based force.
Right. Right.
Would be they could originate out of Gur, you know, truly like bestial people. And it would be a way to pull on like the werewolf thread without
Yeah.
actually doing werewolves. Like this there's this weird piece of lore that's very popular that AOS has this blind spot to, that Warhammer has always had a blind spot to, specifically
Yep.
like werewolves and stuff like that. And beasts of chaos aren't really that.
Right.
So like I'm talking more actual beasts, like true
Like, yeah.
beasts, yeah, bestial folks. So, you know, the answer is you could go any of those directions. I don't know that I know which one of those that are. I think the one I want the most is and yeah, the beasts would be descended from the god beasts. That's what I'm implying.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Yep.
And I think that you could go any of those. Now, if I had to rank those, my hope would absolutely be that we get the grot bags, because that
They brought
sounds
back to what sells.
amazing.
Like that, like big ships. Like, wait, so you're saying like flying junk heaps and kit bashed up, like these like crazy things. You think that'll sell? Yeah, they have an entire line of orcs based on just that in 40K.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. And so just to answer a comment real quick here, Mogwai Man said, I think destruction is done. No one's done. Zero things are done.
You haven't been paying attention.
They look, they're a company that wants to sell you models, man. And they've
Right.
got to keep making them. And like we're to the end of the refresh now. Everybody's refreshed.
Right.
And this
Right.
this
For a year
edition
and a
still
half
has a
in.
couple years of gas in the tank.
2.5 at least.
So we'll refresh a couple more books here and there, like maybe somewhere in the future they'll do a full Nurgle refresh or something, since it was kind of a half-y
Yep.
book. But for the most part, it's time to start going nuts.
Right.
Right? So
Right.
nobody can just sit there. If I was going to rank them, I would say what I would want to see would be the Grotbag Scullers on top, Femir right under that,
Yep.
Beasts under that, Giants at the bottom.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yep.
But they've got to keep doing something.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. All right. Cool. You got anything else? That was a good one. It's a good thought.
Yeah. I want to talk about Stormcast.
Oh boy, do I have some Stormcast thoughts. Let's talk about what chamber gets opened this year. It's time to crack another chamber. We know that. That's happening.
Right. I mean, like, we're almost 2 years in.
Yep. It's time to crack a chamber, folks. It's been too long since our boys in gold and blue have since Sigmar has thrown open the gates of mighty Aether to allow another one of his chambers out into the world, right?
Yeah.
So, what chamber are we opening, Tom? Here's the question. Are we getting Ruination? Right? Is that what's happening? Is that what we all want? It's what I want. Are we getting what are we getting? What's your thought? Hit me.
I'm looking at it's not Ruination. I think we're going to get the Covenant chapter.
Okay.
Chamber.
Okay.
And what is the Covenant chamber? What does that sound like?
Priests.
Priests.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And I think how I think they take a hard right design wise here.
I'm ready. Blow my mind, Tom.
This is where all of the Devoted of Sigmar went. And you're going to see a Stormcast release with humans.
Oh, okay.
So in there, you'll have the Order of Aether. So you'll have Witch Hunters. You will have warrior priest. So you're gonna have like it'll be the prayer, like it'll be the priestly prayer one
Mm-hmm.
because we haven't had a chamber for that, right? We've had bonus prayers, but
Yeah,
there's
sure. I
nothing
mean, we've got
like,
plenty of people who pray, but not an actual
right,
prayer chamber in the same way that Sacrosanct is all about the magic and stuff like that.
right. And what I think that it will be used to bridge the gap, right? Like we have flagellants, but I think it'll be used to bridge the gap between the common people of the cities of Sigmar and the Stormcast. And I think that what we'll see is we will see the Order of Aether, Devoted of Sigmar in this gap where we'll get some more priest units, but we're also going to get some human units. It'll actually solve the bodies issue.
Sure. Well, it would also be narratively. It is it's a narrative move that makes sense because let's say that with the Slaves of Darkness, Archeon's out there. He's doing some stuff. He's going. He's got plans. He's got machinations.
Yep.
Things are on the move. And when the demons start spreading, right?
Yep.
When that stuff starts coming out there, then you call in. Then you call in the witch hunters and stuff like that, right? It's time to get the faithful out.
This will either be a Stormcast release or it will be its own Order of Aether release. And if it is an Order of Aether release, I would say that you can expect that it'll be like, so here's the interesting edge to this. Either it's another Stormcast book with all the same things.
Sure.
Or it's its own thing that has full use of all the Stormcast units.
Okay.
And if it's its own thing, like if we get an Order of Aether, like which is predominantly human based, I think you'll see the Sisters
all
of
Stormcast are human. They all have the human keyword, but I understand what you mean. Not reforged in not lightning and sold Stormcast. Yes.
Right. I think that you will get like Inquisitors, and you're going to get like you would get witch hunters, and
do we get a reimagined Sisters of Sigmar, as many people have mentioned in the comments?
If it's the Order of Aether, then yes. Like if they lean away from that, you'll basically get like a mini, like they have to have seen the hype of Sisters of Battle.
Sure.
And like all of this just is a logical progression out of the next thing that Stormcast need.
Sure.
So that's my call.
Okay. Nope, I'm down with that. That was one of mine as well. And I had written down like new chamber is opened, either Ruination or the one with all the priests, because I couldn't remember its name.
Right.
But I like your take on it.
I don't even know what Ruination is. Explosions?
It sounds awesome. I don't know, but I like it. I have no idea what's in there, but it sounds like my kind of chamber.
Probably more Dracoth riders. Like it sounds like extremists to me. I don't know. I
assume it's like the Black Ops No Witnesses chamber.
Or like the salting the earth, raising it to the ground. Destruction. I don't know. Like again, I'm calling it Covenant Chamber. It's Order of Aether mixed in either in pure Stormcast or as its own thing.
Sure. And yes, I agree. Like Ruination should be Ordnance. Like get rid of this little ballista thing and whatever you've got, Vanguard Chamber. That's cute. That's cute. No. It's time to bring in the real heavy weapons. Massive lightning cannons and stuff like that.
Reimagine Trebuchet to rival the Mortek Crawler.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, all right. I dig that one. Okay. Let's pivot a little off of armies.
Yep.
All right, here's one for you. Let's talk about GHB 2020. That's not a prediction. We know it's happening. It happens every year.
Sure.
So a lot of the allegiance rules are now gone because they all have books. Like we got in a crazy. Does this mean a battle tome is on the way? Yes, it did. As a matter of fact. So there you go. And we handled most of that stuff.
Yep.
So most of that area disappears. Meeting engagements never really took off. I mean, people play it, and it's fine. It's there. But there's a hole missing in their portfolio, Tom. Okay?
Okay.
So in 40K right now, if I want a skirmish game, I can go play Kill Team.
Sure.
If I want a normal game, I play 40K. And if I want to go big time, I play Apocalypse. Right?
Right. There's no AOS Apocalypse.
There is no AOS Apocalypse, but there needs to be. Right? So either that gets floated in the new GHB. If they're depends on where they are in the development of this. Okay,
Yeah, that's true.
you see what I'm saying? If
Yeah.
they're not ready with it, then it's in the new GHB in the same way the meeting engagements rules were, and we
Hmm.
get AOS Apocalypse style massive battle games, simplified rules to use just, 10,000, 15,000 points all at once on the table, but in a simplified fashion, right?
Yeah.
So you can do
Yeah.
these massive games, okay?
Yep.
And they formalize that into a more codified way than how they've done in any previous thing where they talked about like here's a way you could play a bigger game, right? No, I mean like
Yeah.
a test rule set. Alternatively, if they're farther along in the development of this than I would guess, because like this is in the cards, they didn't accidentally fit all three sizes of games in 40K, right? That wasn't an accident. And yes, I know about the thing that's in GHB 2017, but the thing in GHB 2017 is pretty informal, right?
Yep.
What I'm speaking of is something that looks more like meeting engagements. So if it's ready, then they just say, here's the full thing, and it'll release around the same time,
Yeah.
right? It'll
Yep.
be this giant release with basically a completely alternative rule set.
Yep.
And the question is, do they need to test it more and just kind of put a feeler out there, or are they ready to go with it? Right? Because they'll sometimes use the GHB
So
as testing ground for this kind of stuff.
Emily said that you don't think AOS Apocalypse it could be their square base move. No, and here's why. I think that whatever AOS Apocalypse is the predecessor of the fantasy thing.
Okay. Why is
So
that?
like, of the Warhammer Fantasy Battles thing, like the square-based mass combat thing. I think that they end up like testing some mass combat fantasy stuff. You know how like AOS dropped and its rules were refined then for 40K when 40K went to 8th. I think what's going to happen is that the AOS fantasy is going to be the testing grounds for whatever later develops into the fantasy mass mode, because we still know that that's 2.5, 3 years away
At least.
at least.
Minimum.
So we will begin to see those things being teased out, I think, in various lines as they explore game design. And I think that like whatever Vince is alluding to with this mass battle format, this apocalypse, AOS Apocalypse, I think that will be the testing ground from a game design standpoint for whatever is to come.
Sure. Could be. Somebody had said, do I think Mordheim will come back with the Warhammer Old World? Who knows? Maybe. Could be.
Yeah.
If they wanted to. If they ever wanted to release Mordheim, that'd be the way to do it. I mean, they could always just release it separately, too. Like, Blood Bowl exists right now, and that's basically set in an alternative fantasy world, and nobody seems to care. So, whatever.
It's true.
Like, it's fine. We can it's not like we need a single canon. Original Mordheim didn't, I've said this like 100 times, but I'll say it again. Original Mordheim did not happen in the present day of Warhammer Fantasy as it was happening. It was 500 years in the past.
Yeah.
So, like, cool beans.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. You got another take for me? But yeah, AOS Apocalypse 2020 in some fashion. And I think they want it to be its own product. It's just a question of whether they've got it baked enough yet.
We are going to see something happen with death.
All right.
Is going to dramatically impact the shape of the death books as we know it.
All right. See, I have like no death predictions in all of my predictions because I had no idea where to go with death. So I'm interested. Talk to me, Tom. Story time.
Yeah, so Legions of Nagash, like that book is tragically like design-wise, it's just in a really weird space. And I think that I think that what the next step is we'll see something that is probably vampire based and taps into Nephrata, utilizes Nagash and taps into Nephrata like well, we could go one of two ways. Let me say it that way. We either see something that's New Lamnia based. Okay. that is Nefrata, Nagash, and her forces.
Okay.
Or more likely, we see something that's Manfred based,
Okay.
Manfred, Nagash, and vampire based.
Okay.
But I think what we're going to see is we're going to
Why
see
not
this,
both of them, frankly?
and but I don't know that we have two new death armies coming.
No, I
Like
mean, they
that's
could both be in the same force. They're both vampires.
they are possibly. Um, yeah, I don't know. I need to think about it, but I just
Is this the year we actually get a Soul Blight Battle Tome? Let's plant a flag on this. Do we get a vampire force in 2020? Plant the flag.
Yes.
I agree. Because it's the only place I can think to go with death, and it would be toward the end of the year.
I think that we're going to get a new army for every Grand Alliance.
Sure.
Like, and when I mean that, like a truly new concept army
I know
for
what you
every.
mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we had 12 books this year. We're not going to have 12 books next year. Probably. This year, sorry.
But I could see 4 new ones.
Sure. But I would like, it's just hard to imagine because we don't need to update that many books where you have just book releases. That being said, I could see a world where we have 9 books this year, right? And 3 of them we know are going to be in the beginning of the year. So that's 3 down right there. You got 4 completely new armies and then 2 more reimagines, right? 2 more like updates. Yeah.
Yep.
So that could be the world we wanted to. And I agree. I think that's a good call, Tom, because honestly, unless they just for a second time magic up a whole new force like they did with OBR,
yeah,
where else are we going with death?
Yeah, vampires are the way to go.
It has such a huge traction. It's got a huge pedigree in the past lore. And it's very, very anemic right now in how it's built out. Right?
Yep.
And we've seen stuff that could be Blood Knights in various rumor engines and things like that. Right.
I don't think it'll be called Soul Blight. It'll be like what's another word for blood? Like the Sanguine Legions or something.
Oh, sure. Something like that. Yeah. We'll just call them the Sanguinary Guard, not that other Sanguinary Guard. Not the one with the lasers. It's the Sanguinary Guard with the teeth. Teeth, not lasers.
There you go.
Yeah, sure. No, I think that's a good call. And I like the swing that they would have a new force for every Grand Alliance. And that does make sense. Because
Vampire. Yeah, that's a good one, Tom.
Because it feels like what they're going to have to do because they can't just slam dunk a release for an alliance by just redoing one of the books.
Right.
We're out of that. That's not doable anymore.
Yeah, the low bar is gone.
Right. Exactly.
Like that's what they did this last year. They removed all the low bars.
Correct. All the low hanging fruits have been plucked. Now there's some slightly higher fruits, which are like Stormcast Chambers. That's a button you can just keep punching forever and keep getting new armies out of. Not everybody has that kind of depth.
So what's the new Chaos Army?
I'm glad you asked, Tom. Let's talk about it. Here we go. Get ready for that spicy take. All right. So this one's, I don't know, I'd call this one moderate to hot. Here we go.
Okay.
What's the new Chaos Army? Well, Tom, I'm glad you asked. The new Chaos Army is going to be a gold faction. Okay? It's going to be our first gold faction. We've been calling it for a while. This is the year it comes to pass.
Like I've given up hope.
Don't give up hope. Let me explain what the gold faction is, Tom. You ready?
Okay. Hit me.
The gold faction is going to be Slaanesh mortals of some kind. Somebody was a step ahead of me in the comments. They just like literally as I was saying this type Slaanesh mortals. Yes.
Awesome.
And here's why. Maybe it's got elves, maybe it's got humans, maybe it's got a mix of both. I don't really care. Okay. 1, there was no Slaanesh mortal release. I mean, obviously there's Slaves to Darkness, but they didn't get their own version, right? There was no there was no Rotbringers, no Bloodbound, no.
So you think they were like really compelled by your Leather Daddy's call?
I think they were really compelled by doing something interesting with Slaanesh, and Slaanesh happens as part of other cultures,
Yeah.
Like, one of the things of Slaanesh is Slaanesh takes root. The other gods can happen almost anywhere. Like, Khorne's bar is just people exist. You just have, like, barbarians with almost no civilization, and they can just fall to Khorne because they're just bloodthirsty, right?
Yeah.
Tzeentch has a lot of small individual infiltrators, right? And
Yep.
he likes civilization, but he likes working through, like, brilliant individual people, right? Like the
Yep.
person who founded Greywater being a secret Tzeentch sorcerer.
Yep.
Nurgle just likes coming in and showing up and spreading disease everywhere. But Slaanesh is the other way around. It's good people who go bad, as much as is everything else. It's normal civilization, and as it becomes richer, the more wealthy, the more powerful, the more successful a civilization is, the more likely they are to fall to Slaanesh, right?
Yep.
Right before the guillotines come out, everybody's gone to Slaanesh, right?
Yep.
And so here's my prediction: Gold
Yep.
faction, Slaanesh
Yep.
mortals,
Yep.
and that is the reason a bunch of the weird Slaanesh things and spells and stuff got phrased as not only a Slaanesh spellcaster can do it,
Yep.
they got phrased as a chaos Slaanesh caster can do this thing. And the reason that they phrased a bunch of stuff with that extra word you don't need, like you didn't need the chaos keyword following in front of the Slaanesh keyword in a lot of cases, because
Yep.
the Slaanesh keyword is the Venn diagram overlap is 100% with
Right.
things that are chaos, right? And
Right.
yet repeatedly throughout the book, you see chaos Slaanesh. Okay? Why add that extra keyword? The answer is because you needed to separate for your future faction that is a gold faction that can be order on one side, right? When they haven't yet fallen, or they're hiding, or they're infiltrating, or they're living their excessive life, but they're not, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yep. So
And then
some
they can
cult.
go, yes, exactly. And then they can go Chaos Slaanesh, right? Where they can be on that side of it. This is the year we get the gold faction. Make sense?
Yeah. Now,
That's my big call.
kits? Like, is it going to pull in current kits, or is it all new?
All new kits. This is a cut from whole cloth new army.
Because, like, I could see them pulling in, like, witch elves.
Nah, to keep that stuff out of there. Keep Marathi and her stuff out of there. I get it. I get why you're saying that. But
Yeah.
no, they would do it as a whole cut from new cloth army.
Technically, like, I could see it fitting,
Yep.
like, pretty easily.
I just feel like all the instances of Chaos Slaanesh that happen over and over again in the book and other times we see it is too much of a dead giveaway that there needs to be something else. Otherwise, because they don't just print those extra words for nothing, and it doesn't happen anywhere else in the other Chaos books.
No, it's true. It's true. No, it's a good call. Let me say that.
Want another hot take?
Yep.
We're getting a new Skaven book this year. I don't mean
Yeah.
like a generic Skaven.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna get a clan.
Yes, we're gonna get a new clan. This will be one of three things. I don't know which one, but here they are. One, Eshin build out. Ninja rats everywhere. Do it. It's awesome. It would be great to reimagine with new sculpts.
Yep.
Two, you mentioned
Molder.
like the technology-based flying Skaven
Yep.
scryer thing, so they could go that direction.
Ships
That's
with rat.
big technology-based. Show that the Skaven are when we talked about some episodes back, I made the point that Archaeo the most technologically advanced race in the mortal realms, and a bunch of people said no in the comments, said no, Skaven are, right?
Yep.
And I said I don't really know that that's true, because all of Skaven, like maybe in the narrative, but like all of Skaven's technology we see on the table is the same crap they had in the old world. They haven't advanced at all. There were no Aether gold harvesting ships flying around with drill cannons, okay, in the old world. That wasn't a thing. So sorry, on the table, Skaven have been surpassed in technology.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yep.
So this would be the chance for them to reclaim their title. Right?
Sure.
I
could see it.
Option 3, okay,
Hmm.
is, and some people are saying Molder. Maybe, I don't know. My gut instinct tells me there's not as much there, but maybe. But my option 3 is they actually introduce a new clan. The Skaven clans are multitudinous beyond number, right? Like
Well,
there
that's
is.
could you do the airship clan, like an clan that is like a pirate.
Uh, I mean, they were Scryer, but sure, you
But
could have
like,
them break off and become their own thing.
yeah, and maybe they differentiate it that way. Like there was another one that was a very popular clan that was like warriors, right?
Yeah, Clan Verminous is still around.
Or, well, no, not Verminous. There was another one that was like, what am I thinking of?
Do you want me to pull out
To,
my Skaven clans book?
I don't care. Um,
There were many clans, Tom. There were tons of
there
them
were,
that were detailed in like in the various Skaven resources. There are lots.
something like that is what I would agree with you. Like clan scurvy. Yeah, there you
Sure,
go.
what Cinderfall said. Sure. I
Yeah,
mean, look, the point is that there is a multitude of other clans, and they can just cut one from whole cloth and go, boom, right? New airship, or no, sorry, not new airship, new Skaven thing, right? Oh
yeah,
yes. Dez is saying Moors. Is Moors what you were thinking of? They were another like warlord based. They sold a lot
yeah,
of storm vermin to people.
maybe, maybe.
It's fine. It doesn't matter. There were many warrior based clans.
It was like red were their colors.
I'll pull up the heraldry at some point. Yes, famously, thank you, Cinderfall. Yes, Clan Moors was Queek. Was Queek
Yep.
Headtaker was part of Clan Moors. That and obviously the new Queek model is like the second best Skaven model they ever made.
Yeah.
At any rate, so yeah, new book, new Skaven book. It's too big. It's too easy. There's still a lot of room to explore there. It is another button they can keep hitting. It's another way to get a new Chaos Tome.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
The trick is to it is how much do they want to invest
Sculpts.
in new sculpts? Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a good question, and I don't have an answer to that. Um, but I agree. I think Skaven are the next book. Um, that would make sense to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we getting Kurnothi in 2020 or is that 2021? Because I
I think
think we are going to get Kurnothi at some point. They didn't accidentally make a an Underworld's warband of like these crazy punk rock, half satyr centauride
Yep.
elves and just go, yeah, you know what? 4 of those seems good. Let's call it a day. No reason to
I
explore this any further.
I don't think that it's early. If anything, I think it's late 2021
Okay. You're saying
or
it's like,
late 2020, early 2021.
yeah. I feel like Kernothi's pushing it this year, but who knows? Maybe I'll be proven wrong. But here's my statement: Kurnothi are coming. There's no
Yeah.
way that doesn't get built into a faction,
Yeah. Yep.
right?
Yeah, but what I would say is I would anticipate that it's an experiment. Like Beastgrave was an experiment with them,
Sure.
and so I'm saying that you have a 2-year lead time on that,
Okay.
which would put them in 2021,
Fair enough.
unless
That's
they were like super confident that that's the army.
yeah. I mean,
And but let me just say this: if they go that route,
mhm.
I wouldn't be surprised if Kurnothi end up being a gold faction as well.
Playing between order and
Destruct.
destruction.
Yeah.
Sure.
I could see like of the gold factions, they are another one that I could see exploring that like barbaric like lifestyle.
Sure. The barbaric lifestyle. They're in the lifestyle, is what you're saying, Tom.
Sure.
Uh, that's a big 10-4. Okay, so I think that like I just feel like this is the year we have to get the gold faction. Because as we've updated everything and they need to start pushing and exploring this new territory, the
Yeah.
gold faction, and I hope everybody who's watching understands what I mean when I say gold faction. Gold, I'm referencing traditionally gold magic cards, which were like 2 color cards. There were 1 red mana, 1 black mana to cast. So they're neither red nor black. They were gold, right? So that's what we're referencing here. Just make sure that everybody's on the
They
page
play
because not everybody necessarily played Magic.
Yeah. They play in multiple grand alliances, which by the way is going to be hilarious if like for what it does for like best in faction. like event awards.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like, can those compete?
Well, you'd
Do
have
you
to
have
still, you're going to still dedicate, yes, because when you play the gold factions, you'll still dedicate to a particular alliance.
great events?
Yeah, you play them as Order or you play them as Chaos in the case of the Slaanesh Mortal faction that I'm describing, which I am super on about that take.
Clearly, maybe,
And I'm
maybe,
excited that for the second year in a row, I'll have to be painting a bunch of Slaanesh stuff. It will
or
never
maybe,
end.
maybe it is truly like the unifying factor is you're both. Like the unifying factor is like the other keyword that they share.
Could be. Like that you're saying they have both the Order and Chaos keywords, right? And then you just like,
They may have order or they may have chaos, but that's not actually what creates the the allegiance. The allegiance is a second keyword.
yeah, sure. I understand what you're saying. They have both, and then they have a third thing called blah, and that's what it actually is, right?
Like the pleasure pleasure seekers.
Sure.
Sure. And that's the keyword that binds it into its a cohesive force.
Mm-hmm.
That everything is keyed off of that determines what they can.
Order, chaos, leather daddy. Got it. I'm with you. Okay, sure.
Yeah,
Those three
exactly.
keywords. Yeah, I don't think we'll see anything Malarian based this year. I think that's still. I don't think we only get one of the big boys of the Elvish world per year.
Right, and I think that he's the reactive. Like I think that.
He's
And by
last
the
one
way,
out of the gate. He's
he is
last one
last.
out of the gate.
The reason why, by the way, why I think I'm going to jump back to a prior topic. Why I think we get the priests in this cycle,
Mm-hmm.
the priest Sigmar, the
Yep.
Sigmarites, the Covenant Chamber, is because we're in the death cycle.
Yeah.
That's the big bad.
Uh-huh.
Like in this edition, Nagash is our big villain that we're fighting against.
Yep.
And so I think that we get I think like your priests are typically those that are dealing with death.
Okay.
And so I think that is a kind of another logical connection for us doing like them having an anti-undead chamber.
Mm-hmm.
Which,
Okay.
by the way, let me say it would be amazing in the next edition if destruction was the main villain. How awesome would that be?
Sure. Yes, and as Jay Hoops pointed out, the Covenant versus Slanesh is also a slam dunk, right?
Yeah.
That's an easy turn.
Yep.
The Mogwai Man says, I'm just going to guess that we only get 4 battle tomes for 2020. That is a bold prediction, being that we're already getting 2 11 days into the year, and we have
Right.
it on pretty good authority that the next one's coming next month. So by 40 days into the year, we've gotten 3 out of those 4.
That's
Feels like they're not going to sleep on a whole product line for 10 months, man. It's just personal take. I don't know. All right. Warcry stuff. My particular feeling is like all the obvious stuff is true. I don't know that I super have a hot take on any Warcry thing.
Yeah.
Because they will continue to expand all of the available races that can play in Warcry. Yep. They will continue to do additional expansion books for Warcry to let you play in new ways.
Yep.
Right? Like it's just they have said openly they have a 3-year design commitment already for Warcry.
Yep.
They said that at the talk when they released the Monsters and Mercenaries.
Yep.
We already have covered a lot of the ground that Mordheim originally did with the
Sure.
Tome of Champions introducing big campaign stuff and that kind of thing. And the Monsters and Mercenaries introducing your monsters and mercenaries. I suspect we'll eventually get a Dramatis Personae book. We'll get probably a big book of scenarios and things like that, like narrative stories to tell. Like just obviously the Tome of Champions has a bunch of new campaigns and stuff like that in it, but I think they'll do a big book of those kinds of scenarios, especially tracking into other places.
Yep.
We'll probably get an expansion taking Warcry's rules into a place other than the Varanspire.
Yes. Yes. I would agree with all that. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, man.
Is this the year that the gates of Aesir are cracked open?
No, I mean that will probably happen eventually because it's boring. Like it's the most boring thing that can happen is for Aesir to get attacked. It really is. I know everybody sounds like, ah, yay, let's bring down the walls. But like attacking Holy Terra is attacking Holy Terra, man. Been there, done that. Like we get it. You know what's kind of cool about Aesir in the Mortal Realms is that Aesir existing keeps the Mortal Realms from being a total awful wasteland of depression. Like the
Sure.
cities are cool, but I actually really like that
That
not
sigil is undefiled.
yeah, that like there is a place that cannot be defied where yeah, you know, like it makes the world not completely terrible. There actually is some place where there's something that passes as peace. Isn't that kind of a neat thing?
Yeah.
That like the world isn't just a total crap hole like
Well,
40K's world is?
so then then let me say this. If they crack them open, it's going to be destruction.
Yeah, sure, of course. Because Chaos already tried and failed, so it's not going to be Chaos. All of the combined power of the Chaos Gods didn't do it last time, so it'll be a dum dum from Destruction who does it somehow.
The green tide will crack it open,
And I
and
just, I
that's what.
couldn't hate that more. And I say that as a massive fan of orcs, right?
Yeah,
But
totally.
yes, thank you, Brian S. He said it shows what Order is actually fighting for.
Sure.
Yeah, it's actually like, it's cool that that exists. And like, I understand that on that one war scroll, what is it? On the Luminarch or one of them, or one of the things like that, they said if this battle is taking place in Aesir, this thing
Right.
happens, right? Well, first of
Yep.
all, I would print that too, no matter what. Even if I had no plans for the next 3 years to do
Sure.
anything with
Yep.
Aesir, I would print that on the War Scroll just to tease nerds,
Sure.
right? Because it gives me the option to go back later and people will be like, oh, see, I saw the one thing. Like, yeah, I got you, JK. I know how you wrote these books. You just throw out threads until it's time to pick them up later. I understand. Okay.
No,
But
that's fair. But what I was going to say is that may give impetus for the light elves to actually show up, because I don't know what in the narrative happens that forces Teclis and Tyrion's hand.
Archeon goes on a binge. Slanesh busts out. There's like 10 different things that could happen.
Yeah.
By the way, the
Maybe.
Slanesh Mortal release could also be when we actually break out Slanesh. When we get her out of the box. Okay. Like
Yeah,
because
maybe.
the amount of worshippers she has in the world has emerged to such a level that Shihi emerges and her revelers come out from their hidey holes, right? So
Maybe.
just a thought. But like my point is that no, I don't want Aesir cracked. It's boring. It's
Sure.
boring.
Okay.
That's kitty baby stuff. Okay, that like I just want to destroy everything nice. All right, cool, man. Well, have a good
That's
time. Like that's fun.
Yep. Yep.
Hey, there we go. We're back. All right, cool. It'll take a second to catch up, but we can keep talking. It'll catch up to them. Uh, all right. So at any rate, any other products, Tom? Any other products you think? Well, I know we're going to call this a break here soon. I want to finish with our own personal hobby resolutions for 2020. But any small products you see for the year? Anything you can think of?
Um, I think they're going to do something narrative related. I think we're going to get a narrative box.
That's a good call. Yeah. It was like introducing all that narrative stuff for Warcry was pretty good. As Cinderfall pointed out, the RPG is coming out, so it'd be a good time to do a
Mhm.
big narrative product. Yeah.
I think we'll get a Firestorm, like a box like Firestorm, but not Firestorm. I think it'll be something else. I think it'll be campaign related. I think it'll be probably rules heavy. Like, so it may be heavier than just a narrative box. Like, it could be something not unlike Malign Sorcery should have been.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So it could have some endless spells or some terrain, and like it could be a whole collection of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Do we get an additional list of cities in 2020 or 2021?
I think
Like the cities
2020
expansion. I
would
agree.
be. Cities 2 Electric Boogaloo,
Yep.
where we'll get Tzeentch, or we'll get Shaiish. So like, here's the deal. I think that we'll get like in the release year of like once we get both Haish and Ulgu
Yep.
on the other side of that. So maybe
So
late
in
20,
2021, late 2021, yeah.
I think we see Cities 2 that involves cities from Haish.
And Ulgu.
Right, and to
Yeah.
pull new units in.
Yep. And just
Those
like the previous ones, they're set to the cities and so on and so forth.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And I think that that's where we'll begin to see yeah.
I mean, Shamon is the other place where we know there are human cities, and they can play with that stuff too, right?
I can easily see them have dwarves and stuff like that there in Shamon as well.
Yep. Yeah. So I agree. Any other calls we want to make? Any other shots you got across the bow, Tom?
Talked about death, talked about Grotbag.
I think we've given some spicy takes.
I think so too.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
No, I think it's good. I think this will be some fun stuff. I am excited for 2020. I really am. I can't wait to see what the sculptors and
Yep.
writers and
Yep.
artists give us now that they don't have to keep remaking old books.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
We have a direction now. The game is coherent. It's in a good place. Like everything is we're banging on all cylinders here. Time to unleash. Right? Let's get it.
Yep.
So I am stoked for what this year will happen. Which leads us to let's just close out here, Tom. What's your personal hobby resolution in 2020? Or resolutions?
I am going to try to finish my dwarves this year.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is like I am going to get it done and then it'll be done. Like to get at a spot where I'm comfortable and I'm not like where I can truly shelve the army. And not in a like I'm not going to play it, but just simply in like I'm not adding to it. And then I am going to paint some elves.
Nice.
Some new elves.
Some new elves. If the new elves come out, that is your resolution. You will collect that army. You will paint that army.
Assuming I don't hate it.
Sure.
Yes.
Which I see almost no chance of.
Right. Like if it is true high elves, like I'm not going to hate it.
Yeah.
I'm going to love it.
Sure. All right. Yeah, my personal resolutions. I want to finish up both the forces I'm working on right now. Get them up to at least, 2K, something like that. So that's the Crimson. I need to think of a second word. What's the second word of that? I had originally wanted to call them the Crimson Tide, but that's like a football team or something. So
Crimson
I can't do
Dawn.
that. Crimson Dawn. Yeah, that's no, that's something too. And like everything is already taken. I need a good word on the backside of Crimson for this force. I thought Revelry, but that's too Slanesh. Horde, but that's too Khorne. Like it has to be one word that can capture both of them. I want to finish that force out.
Chaos.
Get out of here. I want to finish my Whirlwind's Edge army. I'm really excited about that. But that'll, and then what I really want to do this year is like that'll give me a whole force that I converted almost from scratch, right?
Yep.
And a sort of updated version of something that I can use in multiple ways. I really want to do a project in the second half of the year, either army-wise or competition-wise or both. I want to do something really, really big and flashy that I sit down and go, this is all I'm going to do for like 6 months.
So here's the question for
Or if
Havoc.
it's a competition piece, like it's a 2-month piece, it's a 3-month
Right.
piece. Like literally a 300, 400, 500 hour piece.
So what are we doing for Havoc? Are we going to start calling that now?
Nah, we got to wait a little while.
See the new stuff?
Yeah, see the new stuff. Then we decide. Oh, we got lots of good options here. Let's see. Crimson Rain by Prince. Crimson Wave, Veil, Cavaliers, Cascade, Brigade, Deluge, Novelty. Nobility. That makes more sense. Conclave, Congregation, Forces, Crimson Daddies. Well said, Jeff Lewis. Ponies. Yeah. Avalanche. That's nice. Nice. Well, I do like
I like
Avalanche by
Crimson
the
Cult.
Psychedelic Furs.
I like
Uh,
Crimson Cult.
all right, I'm gonna go back and look at all these. These are all really good suggestions. So,
Hmm.
but I want to do a really big thing. Could be an army project. You know what I mean? Like I want to do
Yep.
something that I
Yep.
that's crazy.
No, I get it. I realize when I get done with these dwarves, like it's gonna be insane.
Hmm.
Like it'll be like 20,000 points or more of dwarves.
Yeah, sure. All told, in all your across all
Yep.
your three factions. Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Insane.
There you go. All right, well that's ours. What are yours? Drop them down in the comments. As Will asked me to mention it, I will mention that if you like this and also play RPGs, you should check out Undesign, my RPG podcast I do with the gentleman who helped me write this book right here that's up on my wall, which is
Hmm.
that book. There we go. Everybody subscribe, give it a like, go over and smash that like button, right? That's what you're supposed to say. That's what you say, right? On YouTube shows.
Oh
But no,
my.
seriously, give it a like,
Stop it.
that kind of stuff. We really appreciate it. It's awesome when everybody does that. So thank you very much. Thank you for all these good suggestions. Thank you to everybody for watching. I'll link the podcast down in the description. I need to add it to my things in general. So if you're interested in an RPG podcast, it's nice and bite sized. It's called Undesign. It's about 20 minutes long. It's available on iTunes and other places, and I'll link it there. So at any rate, I look very much forward to an awesome 2020. Thank you all out there for watching. I hope you all had an awesome New Year's. I hope you're already having an awesome 2020. And I can't wait to get into it and have another great year. So thank you very much, everybody. And as always, we'll see you next Wednesday.